Thanks for joining us on the second official REI NWA podcast. I'm your host, Cody Bailey, broker with the Lone Rock home team at Fathom Realty. And so, with us today, I'm really happy to announce Cody Patton is going to be a speaker coming up on September 12th. And Cody is a process server by trade. And we're going to get into what that means and how that can help you as a real estate investor.
Yeah, my name is Cody Patton with Patton Legal Services. And like you said, we do process serving. And
for those who don't know what process serving is, what is that?
So the easiest way to put that is essentially I'm a court-appointed officer. What we do is we deliver legal mail essentially. So if any lawsuits you can think of, eviction notices, there's a million different kind of documents that we can deliver to people in hand, in person. That way, there's no questions. If you try to send something electronically, you just never know who's getting it. This alleviates all of that.
And some things by law are required to be delivered in person. Right, to someone and sign for.
Exactly.
Right? Okay.
So when we deliver something to somebody, we fill out an affidavit that's filed on public record with the courts, and that way it's just a more, official way to make sure somebody's officially served and there's no questions about was it delivered, was it not. So.
Okay. All right. So how did you get involved in being a process server to begin with?
Yeah, so it's kind of an interesting story. It fell in my lap. I was a property manager, and I managed several properties for about 7 years. And one day, a process server came into my office. He was looking for somebody. Wasn't sure if they actually lived in the unit or not any longer. And so I just kind of started picking his brain and trying to understand the business. And, it sounded easy, right? Which everybody wants something easy, right? So I went ahead and got licensed, and I called him, and he kind of mentored me, and I came to realize it's not easy at all, but it's well worth the work that you put into it. And so I left property management and pursued a career in this full time.
So do you run into people who don't want to be served, and like how do you get around that?
Yeah, so that happens on occasion. Most people, fortunately, we live in Northwest Arkansas, or I do anyways. The people that work with me kind of work across the nation, so everywhere's different. But locally, I haven't had that many issues, knock on the table. But there's been a few where people will get kind of aggressive. They don't want the paperwork, and I get it, and I have to try to talk some people down. But we've definitely had our fair share of crazy stories, more so in the rural areas of the state, and other people that work with me. But you just never know. Dogs are not always your best friend. So.
Right. Okay, so at your upcoming talk on September 12th, we're going to be talking about background checks and evictions, specifically for real estate investors. Can you give us a couple of highlights that you're going to be addressing, and a few things that investors might need to know?
Yeah. So with background checks, it's always good, and when you're going to bring somebody into your unit that you've probably spent a lot of money renovating, you kind of want to know who are they, right? So have they been evicted before? Some of their background. Are they felons? Are they wanted? Are they going to be getting arrested the first month they live there? That's why background checks we can dive into their background and try to help investors understand who these folks are prior to them being allowed to move into their units. And with evictions, because of my history with property management and what I do now, I kind of have an internal insight, I guess, of how that whole process works very well. And so I'll offer up some tips of maybe how to avoid even having to go through the eviction route if possible. And if you do have to go through it, offer some tips and tricks of, what's the fastest way we can get them out of your unit. That way you can turn it and re-rent.
What are some of the pitfalls that you find during an eviction process? Of course, nobody wants to have to do an eviction, but what are some of the challenges that come up that you, maybe some stories that you've run into, or things that people should watch out for?
Yeah, the biggest pitfall, honestly, is these days there is a real thing as a professional squatter. And these are folks that move often, they'll move overnight, and they're quick to get into another place because they move so fast that it may not show up on their backgrounds. You're not seeing that they were evicted, and not all landlords file, with credit. They don't report that to the credit agencies. And so these folks are extremely difficult to get out. They won't pay your rent. They're going to sit there, and they know how it works. So they're not going to open the door for me. They're going to make it extremely difficult. And so that's where we rely on. We work hand in hand with the landlords to make sure that we can get them served. And sometimes we have to be crafty. There's been times where I've showed up with a pizza box, and knocked on the door, and I'll have to...
Special delivery, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And sometimes, if they get to know who I am because they've got a peephole on the door, sometimes I'll have to bring, my wife or a ploy to knock on the door, and they're like, I've never seen this person before. And then they open the door, and I'm kind of off to the side, or, so there's different tactics we can use, but we definitely have to get creative, and some of these folks are professionals at avoiding that process.
And by law, they have to be served before a sheriff comes and actually does the eviction, or what's the importance of that service?
So whenever you have somebody who doesn't move out, you're going to try to get them out yourself first, right? To avoid having to hire an attorney or do it pro se, however you do it. And then when it comes time for me to show up and serve them, it is important that they're served in person, but we can also leave it with a relative that's 18 or older at the property. So if they have multiple tenants, that's a lot easier sometimes to get someone to open the door. If we get to a situation where we have a professional, they're just not going to open the door for anything, and we've been there X amount of times, what I'll do is at some rate we're going to have to make a decision. I've been there 15 times, and I'll write up an affidavit that can be used in court to hopefully get what's called a warning order, and that's like worst case scenario. That's just an affidavit showing we've done everything known to man that we could possibly try to do to get this done, and the judge at that point can decide whether he wants to allow a warning order or not. And if he does that, it just kind of prolongs the process, but they essentially are served.
And now is a good time to also mention that our champion sponsor for the month of September 2023 is ProX Property Management.
My name's Tyler Casey. I'm the broker owner of ProX Property Management Bentonville. We do serve the whole Northwest Arkansas area, but our office is located in Bentonville. The purpose of our business is to build the world's greatest real estate investment, property management, and housing solution. We really want to have a holistic approach to that, where we help people with deal structure, due diligence, financing options, deal sourcing, and property management. We like to say that we make direct ownership of real estate investments passive, profitable, and as easy as owning a mutual fund.
And so as you can see, Cody has a lot of experience in the field. He could be a great resource for you as an investor. You are sure to want to come meet him on September 12th. Once again, his talk is going to be at the Wagon Wheel Cafe at noon. That's here in Springdale. Wagon Wheel Cafe, September 12th. Make sure to come see it. It's $20 at the door. Or you could just join REI, and then you could attend all of our programs for free at the door each time. All right, well, thanks for coming in and letting us know a little bit about the process serving world.
Yeah.
It was good chatting with you.
Yeah, I enjoyed it as well. I really did. So.
Yeah. And I'm looking forward to your talk. And how can people get in touch with you?
Yeah, the best way to get in touch with me is you can find me on pretty much any social media platform. It's Patton Legal Services. You can check out our website. That's Patton Legal Services. NWA.com, like Northwest Arkansas. Or you can also just give me a call at 479-544-7004.
All right. Thanks, Cody.
Hey, thank you.
Have a good one.
You too.